I'm Michael Butterman, music director of the Boulder Philharmonic Orchestra, inviting you to join us for a concert on Friday, October 30th at Mackey Auditorium. Halloween being the next day, we have a program that is filled with the spirit of that holiday. Two highly eccentric works on the program, one of which, by now, well established as one of the great masterpieces of the entire symphonic repertoire. We're opening with a work called Frankenstein, which is based on some childlike verses by the poet H.C. Artman. Now there's a kind of a dark subtext to these verses and some political comment that is masked by the innocence of the words. Words that describe characters, heroes and villains like James Bond, John Wayne, Goldfinger, Batman and Robin, Superman, Dracula, and of course Frankenstein.
Mr. Superman, put on your pants, and someone's bound to know you. That Lois Lane is on her way to jump in bed with you, sir.
This piece really stretches both the orchestra and the vocalist to their limits. The vocalist has to mix speech and song, and has to range from the very highest kinds of falsetto notes to stage whisper, to exaggerated operatic style singing. And the orchestra musicians themselves have to moonlight on other instruments besides their usual ones. Everything from slide whistles to kazoos to whirling hoses and paper bags that are inflated and then popped on cue. It's a real theater piece and a feast for the ears and eyes.
Hey, shouldn't they be noisy, dear? Those lungs are from a criminal.
After intermission, one of the most forward-looking, sort of ahead of its time pieces ever written, the Symphonie Fantastique of Hector Berlioz. This is a work that was filled with all kinds of unprecedented touches of instrumentation, orchestration, detail. For Berlioz, drama and music were absolutely inseparable. He wrote very little of what you might call pure music. Almost everything he wrote had some kind of extra musical association. So it's probably not surprising that his first foray into the symphonic genre was given a literary title, Episode in the Life of an Artist, a fantasy symphony, Symphonie Fantastique. It concerns a sensitive young man, an artist, who falls madly in love with a woman. He meets her at a fancy ball, his heart pounding with excitement. But gradually his love turns to obsession. He begins to see her everywhere. He even imagines that the song that one shepherd sings to another in the countryside is somehow a metaphor for their relationship. And finally, in an opium-induced, nightmarish haze, he imagines that he witnesses his own execution, followed by a witch's sabbath, in which his beloved takes part. Berlioz binds all this together through the use of a unifying motive, what he calls his idée fixe, a musical theme that represents his beloved. In its basic form, the theme sounds like this. It appears in all the movements, and we can trace the progression of the drama by watching the way in which the idée fixe is transformed. At the ball, for example, it gets turned into a waltz. In the final movement, it gets adorned with grace notes and trills, taking on a kind of tormenting, macabre quality as played by the clarinet. In that same movement, Berlioz introduces the famous Dies Irae melody from the Requiem Mass, played by 2 tubas and 4 bassoons. would have immediately recognized this melody and understood its association with Judgment Day and the underworld. The Dies Irae eventually mingles with a witch's dance and leads to a breathless finish for this dramatic symphony. Highly emotional, theatrical, entertaining music for you on October 30th. I'll see you at Mackey.